All right, friends, let's take a deep dive into the SVB banking collapse. I have racked my brain researching all of this and have seen several charts. And we're going to stick with transits of the now time as well as the American natal chart. Now, I do want to mention that the techniques that I use to read astrology are the same techniques that I've used over 6 years in my private practice and how I counsel my private clients. For these techniques, I was able to support two of my astrology mentees. These are clients that I see weekly in regards to being personally affected by this SVP event. Now, I mentioned this because I know that there's a lot of opinions of what's going on astrologically out there, and this is just kind of background of where I'm coming from. So one of the first things that I consider is this a short-term event or is it a long-term thing? The long-term focus, which means lasting change, is seen through the North Node that is in Taurus. And the North Node in conjunction with Uranus in Taurus has shown to us that we're doing radical change when it comes to our money. And this is our cash finances. And so because of that, our resources, our financial resources like government support and banking support, even taxes eventually, are all under review. And essentially what is being strengthened is our ability to work very, very hard for our money. And we can see this through the rise of social media, which I will get into in just a moment, on how people have been able to open up businesses. And the people who do have businesses, it's been exponentially growing. And this is because, again, the North Node is in Taurus. Now, again, if you watch my TikTok, they are always going to aim you to be latched onto the fear of what's taking place, of the natural growth and evolution of humanity. So in all reality, there is an empowerment movement that is happening within people to earn money, cash money for themselves. While again, at the same time, Uranus is kind of like renovating, innovating our version of cash. So over the last few years, we've been experiencing the eclipses in this access point of cash money and financial resources. Next transit we want to consider is Saturn in Aquarius. Saturn is corporations, institutions, authority figures, the housing of structure that society is under. Holding on to that thought, we're going to move over to Pluto, who has been in Capricorn for well over 20 years. And what I like to tell people is that Pluto is slow moving. We don't see him, we don't hear him, he doesn't even strike. And so when he does strike, the world is going to feel it, okay? And when does he strike? Well, it's going to be in pivotal moments where the steam, you want to consider Pluto as steam brewing up, and then when that steam comes to a head, then we're all burning up. And what is Pluto doing? Pluto is transforming these structures of our society. It's transforming the governmental system, the things that we listen to, the authority figures in our world. Now, I want you to consider long-term energy. Long-term energy is something that's going to last and meant to change the future well over 20 years. So when you think of breaking down a system that has been in existence for hundreds of years, the change and the process of transformation is going to take just as much time. And what we get to see is little glimpses and jumps towards all of this change. So what we know and what we can say is that the transformation of finances, of governmental structures, of how the individual makes money, the corporate world is all starting to change. This is your working structure. This is the 9-to-5 structure. This is how employees connect with their employer. In the future, is it going to be employees? What are the changes that humanity needs to make in order to live a more sovereign and a more authentic life? Because essentially, what the world is pointing to and growing into is the age of Aquarius. So we're taking a Uranian route into sovereignty. So now we get to this event, which is the SVB collapse that took place on March 8th. What was happening this day? Let's take a look. I wish I could zoom in the chart, so I'm just going to zoom in myself. So on this day, we had Pluto at the 29th degree of Capricorn. The 29th degree is so important in astrology. The 0 and the 29th degree are so important because this is when the foot leaves the bucket. This is when the trigger is done. This is when the final moment is seen. And so the 29th degree is when basically shit hits the fan. We get to see the result of what we've been transforming or changing or whatever. So with Pluto being at the 29th degree of Capricorn, we're starting to see what exactly is being taken off or kicked out of our experience. It's going to start at the south node of Scorpio. Resources, financial resources that do not fit the structure of the north node in Taurus, making cash money. The south node in Scorpio, it rules banks, it rules institutions. Another thing that took place this day is Saturn was at the 0 degrees of Pisces. It does not mean that this is a Piscean event. It actually means it's the kickoff from everything it's been doing in Aquarius. It's the result. It's what came out of it. So now we get to see it firsthand. So in combination with these two, there's actually so much more that I could talk about, but TikTok limits me to 10 minutes. I'm going to stick with the principle of these two planets because these two gods are really shouting out to us. It's time to reform. So another thing that I want you to consider is that Pluto is going to be going back and forth from 29 Capricorn to 0 Aquarius into December of 2024. So we have 2 years of us working through this exact moment, this exact process. It's going to be one bank after another. Now, when we go into America's chart, we're going to see that Pluto, their Pluto, our Pluto is at 27 degrees of Capricorn. So what's going to happen is during the Pluto retrograde, and when it goes back into the 27th degree, it's going to start chipping more at our American financial system. And that's going to happen in August of, that's going to happen in October of 2023. And that's going to be when I see more solid change happen. And this is, like I'm saying, cat mouse, this is going to happen for the next 2 years. Now, what I want you all to consider is that simultaneously, we've been seeing news of social media outlets reforming the way that they pay their creators. I 100% believe that this is an attempt of the American gods to try to keep things as they are. It's just kind of like changing the beast. So it is really interesting to watch. Social media, especially TikTok, has changed the life of so many individuals, and it has ungaslit us, literally, from what Instagram has done. If you're a creator, if you're an influencer, if you have a business and you've been trying to get your business going through Instagram, all of us feel gaslit by the shitty attempts and the way that it treats its people. It's very similar to what we already know. It's a jacked up system. For us to see the drastic and just the sense of humility that TikTok brings in offering people a branch that they can actually probably set up a little birdhouse on is drastic. And so this is all related to what's happening right now. And so bringing it back to the individual, to you and I, what is it that we can do? As your astrologer, I'm going to tell you to remember your values. And remember the values that you have within sovereignty and authenticity, because that is going to be rewarded, because those are the qualities that the universe wants us to develop today. If anyone out there needs a one-on-one astrologer, I am here for you. You know where to go. My time is done. This is my best work yet, bitch.